Hello, my dear Lana. I'm your online teacher, Paul Courier. Welcome to this wonderful lesson about the main physical features in Eastern Africa. First things first, let's define physical features. Physical features, they are natural things that are found on the surface of the earth. Natural, underline that. And these physical features, they include mountains, valleys, plains, lakes, rivers, swamps, and even oceans. Good. Let's start looking at formation of mountains. Now, in Eastern Africa, we have various types of mountains. With volcanic mountains and block mountains. Now, as we progress, you'll find with other types of mountains that we call fault mountains. But for our case here, we shall concentrate on volcanic mountains and block mountains. We start with volcanic mountains. Now, volcanic mountains, they are formed through volcanic eruption. Volcanic eruption. Say after me, volcanic eruption. Now, magma is pushed up the vent and accumulates around forming volcanic mountains. Now, examples of volcanic mountains with Mount Kenya, Mount Elgon, Mount Longonot. Those are in Kenya. Then with Mount Karisimbi in Rwanda, Mount Meru, and Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. On your screen, you can see a clearly labeled diagram about the formation of a volcanic mountain. And starting with the diagram that's on your left-hand side, you can see deep down the earth crust with a magma reservoir, where with magma under intense pressure, under high pressure, it's hot. And in case there is an opening on the earth's surface, that magma will be ejected through that opening. And upon reaching the earth's surface, it's going to cool and solidify with more eruptions. Then the cooling and the solidification of the magma, which now, note this, when it gets onto the earth's surface, the magma now it's referred to as lava. So more of it will continue accumulating, forming a volcanic mountain. Take note, because in most of your assessments, you will find this diagram where you'll be required to maybe name maybe all the areas or maybe some of them. So it's good to know. On your screen, I'm showing you photographs of some of the volcanic mountains that we've in Eastern Africa. With Mount Kilimanjaro, with Mount Kenya, with Mount Meru, with Mount Elgon. Those are examples of volcanic mountains that we in Eastern Africa. Number two, we shall look at block mountains. Block mountains. Now, block mountains, they are also referred to as host blocks. They are formed through a process called faulting. Faulting. This is when compressional force push rocks towards one another, a fault is going to form. And when the land between the fault rises, it forms block mountains. Examples of block mountains in Eastern Africa, they include Danakil Alps. It's on the border of Ethiopia and Eritrea. Then with Ruwenzori Mountains, it's found in Uganda. Then with Pare and Usambara Mountain, found in the country called Tanzania. On your screen, you can see a diagram showing the formation of block or host mountain. Kindly have a look at it and understand how the whole process goes about. The second physical feature that's found in Eastern Africa is valley. Now, a valley is a low-lying area that has steep slopes. In Eastern Africa, the Rift Valley has two branches that stretch across several countries. The two branches are referred to as the Eastern Rift Valley and the western arm of the Rift Valley. And on your screen, you can clearly see the eastern and the western arms of the Rift Valley. So the one that's on the east, it's eastern arm of the Rift Valley. And the one that's on the west is the western arm of the Rift Valley. On your screen, I am showing you a diagram showing the formation of the Rift Valley, where we have tensional forces and then they cause fault lines. The middle part sinks, okay? So if you can remember what we just discussed about the block or host mountains, it's the exactly opposite of the Rift Valley. For block mountain, the middle part went up, but for the formation of the Rift Valley, the middle part sank, went down. And you can see a good picture of the Rift Valley with steep slopes. Now, those steep slopes, they are referred to as escarpments. The steep slopes are referred to as escarpments. The steep slopes on both sides of the Rift Valley, they are referred to as escarpment. The third main physical feature found in Eastern Africa are plains. Plains are low-lying areas that have flat surface. Examples of plains in Eastern Africa with Lotikipi Plains in Kenya, Serengeti Plains in Tanzania, and Bilesha Plains in Somalia. I'm showing you a photograph of Lotikipi Plains in Kenya. If you can have a clear look at it, it's a low-lying area, a low-lying land is what we refer to as plains. The other main physical feature found in Eastern Africa, these are lakes. What's a lake? A lake is a large water body of fresh or water or salty water occupying a depression. So it's a large water body of water that's occupying a depression. Examples of lakes in Eastern Africa with Lake Turkana in Kenya, Lake Victoria. Now, Lake Victoria is shared by Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, with Lake Tana in Ethiopia, with Lake Albert and Lake Kyoga found in Uganda. On your screen, I'm displaying examples of lakes found in Eastern Africa, starting with the far left-hand side. You can see Lake Albert in Uganda, with Lake Edward. It's at the border of Uganda. Then with Lake Kivu in Rwanda. Down we come to Lake Tanganyika. Kindly make sure you can see Lake Tanganyika. Down there with Lake Malawi. The local name for Lake Malawi is Lake Nyasa. Then on the border of Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania with Lake Victoria. Then in Kenya with Lake Turkana. Now, I've just highlighted a few of the lakes that we have in Eastern Africa, but I've not said that this list is exhaustive. There are other lakes that are found in Eastern Africa. Like in Kenya, we've so many lakes which we learned in grade 5, with Turkana, Elementaita, Baringo, Bogoria, with Naivasha, with Lake Magadi, and many other lakes. Good. I'm showing you a diagram of Lake Victoria, clearly showing the border it's shared by Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya. And if you, from the map, you can see that the smallest part, only a small part of Lake Victoria is on the Kenyan side. Lake Turkana, which is in Kenya, you can see it there, both the photograph and on the map, where Lake Turkana is found in Kenya. With Lake Tanganyika. Did you know that Lake Tanganyika is the deepest lake in Eastern Africa? Lake Tanganyika, which is in Tanzania, it's the deepest lake in Tanzania. Not just in Tanzania, but it's the deepest lake in Eastern Africa. Mhm. Then when we talk about formation of lakes, the major lakes of Eastern Africa, they were formed through different processes. With those lakes formed through deposition, others through faulting, others through downwarping, and others through what we just said, deposition. Now, let's start with the Rift Valley lakes. Now, Rift Valley lakes, this is how they were formed. During the formation of the Rift Valley, parts of the land sank deeper than others, forming depression. The depressions were filled with water to form lakes. An example is Lake Tanganyika. Some of the Rift Valley lakes are salty, while others are freshwater lakes. On your screen, I'm showing you how an oxbow lake is formed. Kindly have a look at it. Look at the process formed through deposition, erosion, and deposition. At the end of the day, we shall have an oxbow lake, With lakes formed as a result of downwarping. Downwarping, it's a process by which the earth surface sinks inwards due to pressure forming a big basin. Now, water fills in this basin to form a lake. Examples of downwarping lakes in Eastern Africa is Lake Victoria in Kenya and Lake Kyoga in Uganda. I'm showing you a diagram showing downwarping process. At the end of the day, we shall have downwarping lake. Another one also showing the same downwarping, how the basin is formed. An example of a lake and how it was formed. Let's look at lakes formed as a result of volcanicity. Lakes formed as a result of volcanicity. Now, they are in two categories with lava-damped lakes. These are lakes that were formed when lava flows on the surface of the earth and come in contact with the river. So you remember what we learned about volcanic mountains? So assume there is a volcanic mountain here that's erupting. And then as the lava is flowing down, it comes across a river channel and then it blocks it. Remember, water is still coming inside the river. So at the end of the day, we shall have that blockage leading to formation of a lava-damped lake. A good example is Lake Kivu. Lake Kivu. On your screen, I'm showing you a diagram of a lava-damped lake as a result of volcanicity. You can see the river is coming downstream, then with lava that's flowing from an eruption, then it's blocking the river channel and the water is going to collect behind that blocked area, forming a lava-damped lake. Another lake that is formed due to volcanicity is crater lakes. You see, when volcanic eruption occurs, the top of the mountain may blow off, forming a hollow depression referred to as a crater. Now, if water fills the hollow depression, it forms a crater lake. An example is Lake Paradise in Kenya, that's on the crater that's on top of Mount Marsabit, with Lake Shala in Ethiopia. I'm showing you how a crater lake is formed. You see the top part of a volcanic mountain, it's blown off, then forming a hollow depression. So if water collects on that hollow depression on top of a volcanic mountain, it's going to form a crater lake. I'm also showing you another diagram of formation of a crater lake. Then we continue to plains. There are wide low-lying areas of flat land. I think we've mentioned about this. And it's showing formation of a floodplain. And my good learner, we've come to end of our session where we've looked at the main physical features that are found in Eastern Africa. We've looked at mountains, we've looked at plains, we've looked at different forms of mountains, different forms of lakes, and it's my hope that you've learned a lot and you've gathered a lot. Let's learn more, learn and keep learning. I've been your online teacher, Teacher Paul Huria. Goodbye for now. See you in the next video recording. See you.